Hey everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thank you so much again for joining me here. Hope you're having a fantastic day. Let's take another look here at Bitcoin, see what's going on. We're going to look at some macro perspectives here. As per usual, it's the first day of the week. And then, of course, we can also recognize this descending trend line still continuing, what it's going to take to be able to break that. And obviously, areas of retracement if the price were to continue to pull back, what might be some good dollar cost average targets. Good news is the alt market is not hemorrhaging right now. I mean, we've seen about a 3.5% correction in the last 4 hours for Bitcoin from top to bottom in this most recent candle. And alts are not, knee-jerk reaction. They're not just dumping like crazy. I feel like alts are starting to find their bottom, so that's leaving me hesitant to want to short the bottom because it feels like the bottom is getting closer, just based on how well alts are performing contrary to Bitcoin. But again, Bitcoin is also getting closer to its lower support range. Last leg of defense here before we continue to potentially free fall. Keep in mind 90,000 is another support level or range that's proven to be very strong, but we just want to recognize a few important factors. So we'll just take a quick peek at the liquidation levels here in the back-end data just kind of see what's going on there. I don't think there's going to be a lot to really extract here. I think the liquidation delta might be a more appropriate thing to look at, but at this point here, we kind of zoom in the last 7 days. Majority of liquidation has been swept. In fact, I think this is actually delayed here, as a matter of fact, because we were actually down here in this 93K range. So, if you look here, we can see a decent chunk of liquidation has occurred, but there's a gap. The next closest area liquidation is 92,000. Okay, so I'm ballparking, but right in that low 92 to upper 91K range. So the price continues to run. That would be a sensible area. Of course, the reason why that's sensible is because that's, once again, the local low. Okay? And it's common for that to be retested. This could be the beginning of a pretty awesome double bottom. It's very early to tell, though, folks. It's pure speculation at this point. If anyone says they're confident in either direction, it makes more sense. You're going to want to lean more towards the price going down. But the truth is no one really knows exactly what's going to happen. And the whole point of me looking at the charts now is to help understand kind of just the overall sentiment and to kind of recognize correlations between either altcoins or Bitcoin dominance. And those things can kind of give us some early indications of transitions, if you will. Take a look here at the delta. For liquidation, this has been pretty consistent, but Bitcoin continues to sell off. In other words, with this liquidation delta remaining in like the 10 to $15 billion range, it just kind of implies that the bears are in control. They're not willing to subside until there's some buying pressure. And at this point, the buying pressure is very limited because obviously we're not seeing a ton of it. Okay, and again, it just implies that the bulls are just waiting to find the right price to strike, or they're just exhausted. They have hardly any money left. There's a good chance that both scenarios are potentially a reality for us. Take a look at this here. Open interest for the last 7 days, 106,800. Imagine being long at 106.8. Ouch, that's terrible. But again, that's par for the course. That's what happens when breakout traders try to buy the top. That's exactly why I kind of emphasize the fact that breakout trading is not really the best way to trade. You want to trade with confirmation if possible. And if we take a look here, obviously we can see there's some local areas of interest at about 95K, and also where we're currently at here at about 93K. So not a lot really telling us there. All it's telling us is that we're in a bearish trend, and there's no other way around it. A lot of folks are underwater right now. Take a look here at the daily time frame. Sorry, let's start with the weekly first. Work our way down. And once again, when it's the first of the year, we'll look at the yearly and the monthly time frames. But right now, looking at the weekly, we had a pretty terrible week. I mean, we take a look from top to bottom. That's a 15% correction in 1 month. Thanks a lot, November. Or sorry, correction, that's not November. That's the week of what, the 15th through the 22nd, if I'm not mistaken. Either way you look at it, that was not a very good week, okay? And the simple way to understand it is that that's a bearish engulfing candle. The likelihood of further downside is greater because of that. Just implies that, once again, the bears have captured that week worth of trading, and they're more likely than not going to continue lower unless we can see a higher volume increase and, the price recover. And we'll take a look here at the RSIs. We can recognize that both are kind of letting us know we're bearishly diverging. While we're still over 50 on the RSI, there's no doubt that we could continue a lot lower here based on that sentiment. Money flow index is pulling back, but that's not really a good gauge here, just based on the fact that it's still overextended. And then of course the RSI, or sorry, the MACD, starting to lose momentum. So these are all kind of like early signs letting us know a shift in momentum is happening here, and that it's generally not best practice to take a long into this. Again, you could long 92,200 as a hypothetical, because we'd sweep that local area liquidation potentially see a small bounce, but we're still in a descending trend. It's inherently more risky to consider doing that. Just as it is trying to short the bottom here too, which it's why we're in a funny place right now. It's odd to be kind of at this price point. Big part of me wants to just short like crazy right now, but I have a feeling that we could very well see a swift recovery, and a lot of altcoins are performing pretty well contrary to Bitcoin. They're doing actually quite nice as far as, like, if you look at the price action, a lot of alts are going up and sideways where Bitcoin's going sideways and down. So usually once Bitcoin finds its bottom, whatever that is, we could literally just range bound for 24 to 48 hours at 93K. Alts are probably going to recover pretty quick. Okay, so just be mindful of that. So just exercise caution when taking shorts right now. I just feel like shorting the bottom isn't super sensible, even though this may not be the bottom at all, right? Again, a lot of conjecture here. It's hard to say specifically, but no one truly knows here at this point. We are under 50 on the RSI. That's confirming bearish divergence. Money flow index is right there with it. Stochastic's trying to swing up, but that's super early sign, not really indicating much at all. The 4-hour time frame, we're underneath the 20-day SMA, and this is probably the most important thing for me with the trend here, and just knowing when to take along with Bitcoin and when not to. We are still under the 20-day SMA here, and that lets me know that we're not in good shape to take along. Okay, generally speaking, I want to be above that to feel like any vote of confidence to take a long position. We haven't seen a price point above 20 on the SMA here since Wednesday. Okay. So again, we've been underneath that this whole entire time. So if somehow we can kind of do one of these, close at 96K or higher, that would be a cause for consideration for a long. Between now and then, it wouldn't make a ton of sense to try to breakout trade into that level, because I know a lot of folks are thinking, they're probably scratching their heads like, wait a minute, why would I wait for a price point that's 3% higher when I could get 30% between now and then? The truth is, this ascending trend hasn't proven a break, so it's probably going to continue lower, and you're going to be SOL if that doesn't happen. You're much better going off with trading into a higher odds of success. And when the trend has essentially shifted, even though there can be fake outs that occur, you're more likely to find success than you are right now. Okay, so it's just not sensible to take a long position. Even though we are getting closer to these pivot points, and a lot of times you'll see 30 on the RSI, or when the MFI comes down closer to 20, you will see the price action bounce and pivot, which we did see here recently too. And the price got down to this 92K range. We can see the RSI was right there at 30 and it bounced. Okay, so it's not an exact science by any stretch, but we're probably getting closer to the tentative bottom. We got to see if that bottom holds. Okay, and that's again that 92,200 mark. So that's roughly what we're looking at there. The 4-hour time frame looks abysmal though, folks. MACD's diverging, even though that's a very minor divergence. It's still kind of reiterating and reaffirming that we are not on the right side of tracks. We're also remaining below the cloud. Look at this. The cloud runs very concurrent in a lot of ways with SMAs. It is an SMA in its own in a lot of ways, and we can see here, cloud just kind of running concurrent with this descending trend. Until we close above, that's this guy here, 96,000 or higher, there's no reason to take a trade. Okay, again, I'm referring to a long position. Hypothetically, you'll have more success considering a short right now. But once more, as I reaffirmed, we're getting closer to a double bottom. You don't necessarily short into a key level support, because we saw a ton of volume over here when the price action hit this lower range. So my speculation is, if we see this price point of 92,200, which we can kind of reference here, has a pretty decent chunk of liquidation between 91.5 and 92. If we hit that range, that would be a good consideration for a long, but not a good long with confirmation, just more of a hypothetical long, a short long, more of a scalp. Okay. So again, just something to kind of look for. If that doesn't happen, great. I'd much rather see the price go up right now. But again, most altcoins are starting to bottom out unless Bitcoin runs past 92K, should be in pretty good shape. Okay, it just depends on how we get there, really. And once more, I get the question, probably more so than not, on altcoins. How are altcoins going to be doing here? And the general consensus is that altcoins are not in terrible shape right now. Bitcoin dominance is starting to pull back. Alts are starting to, money's coming away from Bitcoin, going into altcoins. It's a pretty decent situation overall. It could be way worse. Trust me, to see any green on a day like this after a 4% correction on a market open on Monday morning, a 4% candle, that's a pretty bad little start. And most alts are doing well. So be careful being a late short here at this point. Okay. All right, folks. I hope that makes sense. Described it correctly. Thanks again so much for being an amazing part of my life. To those of you who commented over the weekend, it was super sweet of you. Thank you so much. That was amazing and awesome. Congratulations to you as well. Somebody actually posted that they were, what was it? They were at the hospital waiting for their child to be born at the same time of watching my video talking about next month. That's when we're due to deliver our first. So pretty exciting times. Anyways, thanks again so much. We look forward to seeing you on the next one. I plan to do some brief analysis tomorrow, but again, Christmas Eve and Christmas, you probably won't see too much from me. I hope you all have a good one though. Either way, we'll look forward to seeing the next one. Take care.